Have you ever watched a movie that not only impresses you visually but stays with you, making you question the nature of war, madness, and morality? Well, when it comes to war films, there is one that transcends the genre and becomes a unique cinematic experience. Apocalypse Now, directed by the legendary Francis Ford Coppola. Today we're diving into this iconic film, but also into the mind of its creator, a director whose immense ambition turned a nightmarish production into a masterpiece of cinema. So get comfortable, put on your headphones, and join us on this journey upriver into the heart of darkness. Francis Ford Coppola, the architect of the impossible. When we talk about Coppola, we talk about greatness. His films are ambitious, visually striking, and deeply human. From The Godfather to Bram Stoker's Dracula, he has shown that his stories not only entertain but also shake the audience's conscience. His approach to characters, his attention to detail, and his relentless pursuit of authenticity have left an indelible mark on modern cinema. In Apocalypse Now, Coppola pushed his style to the limit. He combined the epic with the personal, explored the boundaries of morality, and turned every frame into a painting loaded with symbolism. The Nung River, for example, is not just a setting, it's a metaphorical descent into madness. And Colonel Kurtz, played by Marlon Brando, is the personification of absolute corruption. His presence in the film, shrouded in shadows and mystery, reinforces the idea that true horror isn't found in the enemy, but within every human being exposed to brutality. But making this film was a journey into hell. Literally. The shoot in the Philippines was plagued by typhoons, financial problems, and a cast that, in some cases, was on the verge of collapse. Martin Sheen suffered a heart attack during filming, Marlon Brando arrived overweight and without having read the script, and Coppola invested his own fortune into the production, fearing that his career was at risk. All of this added to the myth of Apocalypse Now. Because this wasn't just a movie about war, it was a war in itself, a battle of wills where passion and chaos fused to create a masterpiece. The conflict behind the conflict. To understand Apocalypse Now, we need to talk about its context. The film premiered in 1979, just a few years after the end of the Vietnam War. The United States was dealing with the scars of a conflict that had been not only a military disaster but also a moral crisis. It was a time of disillusionment and self-examination in which the war had left an indelible mark on the nation's collective psyche. The story follows Captain Willard, a soldier sent on a suicidal mission to eliminate a renegade officer who has become a kind of god deep in the Cambodian jungle. But this is no ordinary journey. It is a psychological odyssey that immerses us in the worst aspects of war and the human condition. Each stop along the way is a confrontation with moral decay, with the loss of humanity in the midst of senseless violence. Coppola didn't make a traditional war movie. He didn't glorify the conflict or turn it into an action spectacle. Instead, he showed us the absurdity, the horror, and the madness it unleashes. And he did it with unforgettable images. Soldiers surfing in the middle of battle, a helicopter assault set to Ride of the Valkyries, and a shadowed Marlon Brando murmuring about the horror. The impact of an immortal work. When it was released, Apocalypse Now divided critics. Some considered it a masterpiece, while others thought it was a narrative mess. But over time, its place in film history became clear. It is one of the most influential movies of all time. Its legacy is undeniable. Directors like Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve have cited its influence, and its use of music, color, and narrative structure has been replicated in countless productions. Beyond cinema, its message still resonates in a world that continues to grapple with the consequences of armed conflict. The film reminds us that war is a place where the line between good and evil blurs and where monsters aren't always on the other side. Conclusion: more than a movie, an experience. Apocalypse Now is not just a war movie. It's a journey into madness, a reflection on the nature of power, and a mirror of the horrors that humans are capable of committing. Francis Ford Coppola risked everything to make it, and the result is a film that, like the Nung River, continues to flow through our consciousness. Every time we watch it again, we discover something new. Every line of dialogue, every image, every scene challenges us to reflect on war, morality, and ourselves. Now I ask you, what does Apocalypse Now mean to you? Do you think it's still relevant today? Which scene impacted you the most? Leave us your thoughts in the comments and let's continue the conversation.